Welcome back to another star-studded episode of the Chatterbox with yours truly, King Jacob. And we're here on this lovely, magnificent Monday night. You know what today I call today Motivational Mondays, new week, new business, new relationships, and it's Motivational Monday. So today we have a real special treat for you, man, tonight. Heavy hitter, New York City, you know, um, Mr. Oscar Sanchez, and been in the game a long time, did it all. So without further ado, I'll let you introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, for having me. My name is Oscar Sanchez. I'm CEO of Affluent Records, music producer also here too. Grew up in downtown New York City and basically grew up in Def Jam. And through Def Jam is where I was able to learn everything I do actually today. So life is amazing because you grow, everything happens for a reason. And if you really open your eyes in between those reasons, you start learning your own path. And that's what I started learning to do. It became more than just a name, a hangout, a place to go. It became part of my life. And after that, I was able to take each and every step that I took from there and apply it into every situation that I came across. Today,
All right.
you know what I'm saying? We got so much other stuff going on, but any questions? Go ahead.
Sure. So where did you actually start in the entertainment business? How
I,
did you get started?
I started because at first I wanted to become an artist. I was like freestyle music was rampant during that time, and hip hop music was exploding. And for me, I wanted to go sing, and I wanted to be a freestyle artist and join like TKA and those groups like that. When I saw the way the business was being worked and how I wasn't even able to break a door through that route, and how it was so exploitive, it was ridiculous. And I said to myself, I can't even function. How am I going to deal with that? I ended up just reverting back to the clubs and living my life as a personality through there and realizing, okay, this person does this person does that. I started seeing people that I started associating that I knew in the clubs. They didn't know me other than just the face. And that's how back then everybody just knew each other, you know what I'm saying? Being in certain places and execs, artists, producers, everything it was like an art renaissance of music.
Mhm.
And so New York City there was 1,000 clubs and 1,000 parties, and you just knew how to be in the right place at the right time and with the right people. And it was a lot different, that energy, So for me, I started out through there, and until the point where I decided, you know what, I need to stop being just the guy that listens to all these songs. I need to be the guy that has my name on these records. So I started looking up like what is and reading every single book that there was, on the music industry and all that, but that still wasn't insightful. They didn't give you a door, step inside. Yes, they give you knowledge on what a contract does or knowledge of what this does if you're an A&R, if you're a producer, marketer. You get an outside knowledge of that, but you don't get the gist of it until you really dwell yourself in. I'm skimming through magazines, and all of a sudden I pick up the first Vibe issue that came out. And I started going through the record labels through there. I realized that the one thing I learned when I saw an article a little while ago was a picture of Puff and Linens and how he turned his life from an intern into an A&R at Uptown Records. That was like, okay, now I have definitions on terms and what I could talk to people about. So I said, let me sell myself as an intern and work my way through there. Everybody rejected me, like Priority, all these record labels, Tommy Boy, all this stuff. But Def Jam opened the door. And from there, I never looked back. So it was a lot of hustle to try to figure out, one, what you could bring to the system, what you're trying to do, and then to see a strategic plan on how to get that across the board. Today, way different. Those times was so much better because people were able to really ingest and take on hand what it is from A to Z to create a record, to sign an artist, to do that. Today, kids, people, young adults don't really get that unless they go to high-end schools like a NYU, where there's a Clive Davis program, and then you get industry people to come in and speak, and it's a lot. But for the majority of people, they don't get that. They got to go through resources to see your shows and other podcasts and other information to gather what they can, and they still can't connect with with execs because it was a lot simpler then. You could walk up to the office. Now you can't email nobody, you can't connect with nobody. So it's a lot harder. As much as this information is out there and the system has progressed, it's a lot harder for people to really get inside that inside. A lot of them are stuck inside the digital life of CD Baby tune called Bandcamp. That's not still being on the record label, you know?
Well, I mean, now, I've been in this business since about 1997,
Okay.
and I started out in the business doing. Started out in Washington D.C. I'm originally from the Carolinas, but I started in Washington D.C. So, street promotions, club promotions. The very first flyer that I hung up, you know, throughout the city was Noriega on the What Noriega tour.
Oh, really? I would think that since you were in D.C. at that time, you were on all the go-go acts and all that stuff, because that was popular.
But so I had a partner that was working with DreamWorks Records, and he was like, "I want to hire you to help me do the street promotions and the club promotions." And so, and then, you know, he had me at DC Live, one of the biggest clubs in DC, and that's where I met like Nori and Sporty Thieves and Too Short, Method Man, Red Man.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Nonchalant, you know, just a lot of different.
Good morning, yes.
Yeah, just a lot of different people. And so, you know, as I see how he maneuvered with DreamWorks and how the street promotions and the club promotions and all that work in artists' favor, and as I look at it now, there's a disconnect in the music industry.
Huge disconnect.
And so I think the disconnect is, you know, it's went over to digital, but I think that you have to balance the analog and the digital together.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't understand that. And so when you started out with Def Jam, what was it like for you as an intern there?
Whew. Let me tell you, there was 3 types of interns there. The intern that came in there because he was, you know, he lived off the name of Def Jam. The intern that would do everything in the world, that was me. It didn't matter who I worked for. If I had to take out the trash, if I had to bring a reel to a studio, it was me. I was always volunteering, you know. And then there's the intern who's just there to get signed, really. You know what I'm saying? He's an underground rapper, undercover rapper, you know. But for me, it was really important that that as I'm there, I took my life and invoked it inside there. So that was school. That was the future. You know what I'm saying? For me. So I had to go learn everything. So yes, I still had my life outside, you know, on the clubs and hanging out as a personality. But best believe I was there 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, right before Leo Cohn would be the second person to walk in, or the first person before me. It was him. But no matter how much I partied the night before, so I was doing everything. And as you advance yourself, you know what I'm saying? And then I was specializing in the A&R department, but we were learning marketing, we were learning publicity, we were learning everything. You just had to pay attention, you know? And if you did, and you start executing stuff and show responsibility and execution, you start growing. And that's what I did, you know? I didn't just, when they ask you to do something, there was no sense of me, okay, how do I do it? You don't ask anybody. You just go ahead, figure out, become resourceful. That's what drove me across the board. So it was everything. There was no one thing. I was blessed to learn all that for a reason because I was able to utilize it then. So it's not only was I able to do, you know, when we were doing when I was at Violator, that was a little better transition than Def Jam because it was a lot more responsibility. So doing
so I want to stop you for a minute, and then we'll come back to Violator. So a lot of people I hear in the industry, you know, I had an artist say, man, so how do I get next to Leon Cohen? I was like, what? How did you how did you get a meeting with him, get next to him, have a conversation with him?
I mean, I think that's the
I
question
said, I,
people have been
I
asking
said,
for the last 40 years, no? For the
I
last
said,
30 years,
man,
right?
I said, man, I right. I said, man, I can't tell you how, but I can tell you I've been told if he likes something that he hears, he'll come and find you.
Things were different back then. You know, he was actually very much on hand from DMX and the findings there to Montel Jordan. He really inspired me because he showed me how to be an executive. I learned different things from as we go along from each person, but for him, he showed me to be an executive and to aim high. Um, his whole thing was execution, really was. If you're gonna be something, do it. If you're gonna be a rapper, rap. If you're gonna be a singer, sing. If you're gonna be a producer, make beats. You know, but whatever you do, give yourself 1,000% to it. How do you get to Leo Cohen? Make your world so unbelievable outside here that you attract the Leo Cohens, the L.A. Reids, the you know what I'm saying, all those guys like that, the Wendy Goldsteins, all these people that on a different tier that could change worlds. That they've done that for other artists and other people. But see, it's a lot easier for people to say, "Oh, okay, that's a great answer," but apply that to get to that point because now you have people like Drake, Nicki Minaj, and those standards to go by. No longer is it just the bar that low. So people, you have to be in that category for people like that to give a fuck about you. Start searching you and being like showing people that you're your own entity. You could do
Mm-hmm.
this without their resources. You know what I'm saying? And you're doing it. Jay-Z Rockefeller is a prime example of that. When Leo signed him, he signed him on the fact of what he was doing. You know, he was on priority. He was on all that. He was making noise in the street. You know,
Right. So
past
how?
actually having the data.
Mm, okay. So how easy? Like I grew up listening to like Rakim, LL. Three times dope, leaders of the new school.
All that's
Um,
in all
yes.
on the CD.
So how easy versus then to versus now? Was it more easier back then to have a meeting with a Russell or Rick Rubin or Leon Cohen or
Yeah,
Sylvia Rome or L.A. Reid, Andre Harrell?
absolutely.
Was it much more easier back then?
Including the elements that we have today. Yeah, because these people were in a location. It was, we're not living with the COVID restrictions. We're not living with that. It was a matter of you accessing on where these people were and being able to actually, demonstrate, give them something. And they might hear it, they might not. You see like the stories of like Irv Gotti with 50 Cents in the movie where he listens to his stuff because of the car, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. So there's gotta be an appeal for you just to come out in any sense. Today, even though things are harder, things are set up for people to be able to really burn their own fire faster because the digital world, you don't have to wait for all these execs no more. You got to educate yourself to do a certain basics. Maybe you got to have a team and you got to execute as if you were already on Def Jam. Keep doing that. Keep putting out music. Keep being prolific out there. It's a formula that works because you show who you are, an artist.
Right. Right. Okay. So now you work with Violator too. So I can remember having a conversation. I want to say, man, it had to be early 2000s with a person that I seen at a music festival out in Maryland, and she I think she was doing an intern with Violator, and that's how I come to know who Mona Scott Young was.
Okay.
And so with me coming to know who Mona is, people say, man, do you watch Love and Hip Hop? I said, I watch it because of one reason. They was like, so who's your favorite person? I said, Mona Scott Young. They said, who is that? I said, I said the one who started. Without her, there's no love in hip hop. He's like, oh, and then they just instantly look up her, and they was like, she managed LL, she managed Buster, she managed Trick. Yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
see. When I first met Mona and she came on because Chris's main assistant Keisha left, and
Mm.
so there was a place where, you know, they needed to be administration and procedures coming in. I was too young to handle that. You know what I'm saying? I was learning the biz, so it was when I say I learned something different from everybody. Mona Mona Sky has been one of the most inspirational people in my world. The fact is, because everything I did learn tangibly was because of her in one direct way. Chris gave me the opportunity, Chris Lighty, who was our boss, gave me the opportunity to be in the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not a hand-to-hand teacher. He's like, figure it out. I gave you the opportunity to be around. Mona was the teacher. This contract does this, Oscar. Go through this. We were working production, selling production. I learned all about production, points, publishing, real fast with her. You know, I learned all about how to seal a deal by watching her. Mona went rapid fast from coming in on that level to growing and becoming like expanding and bringing in the money for Violator. My Violator's main objective back then was selling, managing artists, you know, like Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest, and all that. But things started accelerating financially as a company when they started selling production with Havoc, Dr. D, all these amazing, you know, producers, and her constantly showing how to make 50K, 40K a day. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
More. You know what I'm saying? Depending on
Wow.
who the producer was, you know, and she showed me how to make deals. In associating myself with all these people, I was able to get my name known on a different level, and to see what she's done as an individual. Forget about her being a female and all that. That's the only added plus. But what she's done as an individual to take an idea, you know, and the life of like love and hip hop, and to create it and make it the number one media source for artists to connect, you know what I'm saying, out there, and give vitality to these artists, and give programming to MTV. I mean, you know what I'm saying, VH1 and that, because they had none after a certain aspect of reality. You know, she pioneered the word inspiration. You see Mona Scott. You definitely do.
Yeah, she a bad lady, man. And
Smart
when I
lady.
say bad, when I say bad, I mean high end, intellectual, business savvy boss. You know what I mean? For real, for crazy, man. And somebody asked me, they was like, "So, when you dealing with artists, man, who you want to just sit there and just like have a cocktail with, man, and just vibe with them about life and about business?" I told somebody, I said, man, you know, as far as a female in business, it'll be Mona Scott Young. But as far as a male in the music business, so I'm a guy that always follow Russell Simmons. You know what I mean? From the time that I was a kid, you know, like I always follow Russell Simmons, I always follow Andre Harrell, and you know, and I can remember when LaFace was created.
Yeah.
So I followed those guys as well. So, but as far as you know, Mona did something to change the narrative, man, when it comes to entertainment and reality TV. You know what I mean? Like,
She's the pioneering queen of setting the standard, you know, for all that. All the shows mimic that afterwards. You know what I'm saying? In their own way. Right. She did a great situation. And then to have spin-offs after that, that could keep going on, depending on, you know what I'm saying, what it is, because you're looking at people's lives, you know, and the things that they bring to the table. I mean, yes, we could only see so many beatings and so many people cheating on each other and all that, right? But the dynamics of the stories and people's lives change. So as the artists change and things, if they structure it right, it'll keep going forever, you know?
Right. So, what was a day in the life at Violator for you? As once you learned the publishing, the points, royalties,
Yeah,
learn how all the way the artist should get paid, and all the like. So, what was the day in the life for you, and how with you learning all of that, how did it help you excel as an executive?
every single element helped me excel as an executive because it was an ingredient towards the whole main dish. My day started out first coming into the office having a Coca-Cola because I needed to wake up. I need to make sure I'm inside and start functioning.
Right.
9, 10 a.m., here we are. The phones start cracking. They start cracking really fast. It was like hip hop Wall Street, So between dialecting calls, initiating, deals and bringing them to get finalized to Mona, or coordinating with the attorneys of the artist. We managed artists during the day. We sold production. We also were in charge of A&R departments, such as some of the artists on Def Jam, some of the artists on Loud. We had other artists that we were dealing with. So every day, those phones were blaring, and every day there was different functions. So
wow. Oh,
multi-
when you say loud, when you say loud records, man, I don't think these kids really understand, about loud and about e-music and places like that, man, so they don't really understand how business savvy that you had to be to deal with all, like, you dealt with Def Jam, Violator, Loud, e-music, like you dealt with all the major labels in the NYC area, but you dealt with them all at one time. And so how did you balance those relationships, man? And how did you keep those ongoing relationships that you still have today?
Multitasking. You got to be the king of multitasking. And if you have an opportunity, you just got to roll with it and be able to do it. Everything happens for a reason. So obviously, they didn't pick somebody that they couldn't bring into the position that didn't have the ability to hold it down. And I was with Def Jam Violator for about 7 years. You know what I'm saying? Inside that whole thing, that was enough for me to grow up, absorb everything I could, and then go to BMG and get a bigger check. It was amazing, like what you had to learn every day. So I learned I could work a marketing job because I did marketing at Def Jam Valley. I could go to A&R because that's all I was doing all day. I started learning production because I started going to studios and seeing how Trackmasters did this stuff, how Q-Tip did this stuff, Diamond D did this stuff. Everything was like how people were chopping up samples. Mobb Deep, we were going to the studio every day. You know what I'm saying? Making the songs for the second album, saying Blood Money, not Blood Money, I forgot what it was called, Hell on Earth,
Right.
that album, right? And so all the stuff that was happening there, the L.O.T.U.G projects, the Busta Rhyme projects, you know what I'm saying? Other artists, the Bone Thugs and Harmony for 5 Secs, we had a range. And then on top of that, like since my boss, Chris, had a dual role, being like the head of Def Jam A&R and having his label, Violator, we were doing a whole lot of stuff. You know what I mean? That's how I got to do the Def Jam and Def Jam 10th anniversary box, and that'd be my first A&R credit because I was able to structure and pick up the pieces for a lot of stuff that was being done. Mm-hmm. So every day, we were doing a multitude of stuff in different fields: publicity, marketing, production, A&R, artist development. And being in that mix, you were able to see everything firsthand and do things where nowadays you have to have that education to be resourceful to apply that to the digital. Without that, there's a lot of loss of artist development today.
Right. So that's another thing I want to ask you about. Now, I'm big on artist development, really big. And so, with that being said, man, do you think with them taking artist development out the way, do
Yeah,
you think that hurts artists as a whole?
it killed artists because they didn't show how to develop. They showed them how to. You've got to get your record, and then you just got to put it up online. There is no in between steps under there. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get happy with the 1, 2, 3 routine. 1, let's buy the stuff at Guitar Center. Great. 2, let's put the stuff out on CD Baby. 3, let's hope it works. And it's the same routine for years. You know, that's not what life is. So there's so much disconnect because artist development got closed in by the labels in a certain sense. And with the effect of digital, they're like, okay, let's just see your data. Let's see what you're doing out there. You're expected to understand artist development on your own. And that's why artists then get tied up in situations with production companies that suck up these artists into like a limbo because they're working with them to a certain point. If they hit, they hit. If they don't, then they're stuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same sense. So it's crazy because there's such a disconnect, and it's hard for people to find certain executives or producers that really do it all for them.
Right. So with that being said, man, are you the type of executive that still like to put artists through development?
It's first development before you even come out. My prime example is this artist A-list that I've been working with for the last couple of years, the last 2 years. When he first came on, I heard a song. He sent me a song that was cool because he was getting on. He was licensing tracks from online, but not licensing them correctly with the correct administration. So it was just like, let me buy this, but then you can't put the songs out. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy because in doing that, it's very hard. It gave me a keen understanding of what artists go through on the reality in 2021, 2020. There's a lot of music out there that you could download, but then if you make a song off of it, you don't got the rights to all of it because, you can't shop it out. It's somebody else's beat, even though you made a great song out of it, so you're stuck. So where are you left to do anything? And so and working with A-List, this kid, Jared Woodson, he came to me with a song that I saw his potential. But then from there, it was really about finding his sound. And when we couldn't find his sound out there or what was out there, it was time to create his sound. And that's what I did. All the stuff that's out right now, like Gleaming, Gold, all the stuff that we put out, Battles, all the stuff is right out here. Right out, you see this machine, the MPC? Right through there. Comes out right through there between me, and the engineer, Rich Travali.
So which MPC you have?
MPC-X, I got the live, and that's what I work with exclusively.
Okay.
And all those songs that I put out on the radio, you know what I'm saying? And for this artist out through there. And it was a matter of teaching him, listen, this is the beats. This is how 16 bars, 8 bars. This is the structure of songs. Let's see what you write over this. Okay, send me what you write. Okay, it doesn't work. Let's fix this. Say this way. Sing this way. Listen to me how I sing it back to you. You know what I'm saying? Go back, do that. Take that part out. And showing him that 2 years later, we're sending songs off that DJ Enough is gracefully playing for us on his mix show. You know what I'm saying? Hot 97. This guy got a video on BET. You know what I'm saying? We created a video that got BET rotation. He's getting love out there by the press because I coordinated a publicity campaign for him. I've been getting him out there. It's been a beautiful progressive aspect. Now he's, going out in these what do you call it, like up and coming showcases with unknown artists that are out there in the city and all that, and it's incredible how polished he is versus what everyone else is doing, from the context of his music to his delivery to his stage presence to all that. And people really are getting to notice that. So yes, my definitely goal is to take this artist, you know what I'm saying, and build him up to a point where a great label, you know what I'm saying, where the Wendy Goldsteins are, you know what I'm saying, where the Def Jams and all these people are, to give him a bigger home, a bigger place where we can execute bigger with him. but he has to bring up the brand awareness, you know what I'm saying, and the right songs to get out there. And that's what we're working on to get to. That's the artist development of today. Anyone can go outside and put stuff on online, but it takes somebody to really work those songs and get them across the board.
Okay, so all right, with the artist development, I hear a lot of artists say, I'm gonna stay independent. So I asked this one artist, you say you're gonna stay independent. Okay. What is your budget to stay independent per quarter?
Exactly. They don't have one.
He said to me, what do you mean? I said, man, you actually need a working campaign of at least 50K per quarter, man. To make it in the music business like you say you want to make it, you need a working campaign. I said, now I've seen people do cheaper campaigns and really have some traction, but they had traction because they was constantly working. They was constantly putting out product.
And so who they tap with to be able to get across the board. You know what I'm saying? That's a major difference right there. A lot of people put up stuff and they say, oh, yes, we do all this great stuff. When I started out, it was still the CD vinyl world.
Mm-hmm.
Digital world started coming into play. I was one of the first people to actually create a work model where people were doing prepaid distribution and prepaid label services like a restaurant, like a menu. So people will come, hey, I need this done, I need this done, I need this done. Okay, this is what this costs up front. That's how we create a company. Okay, great. So we did a service company early. People were then with it, and then some of them were not. The people that were with it at first were like, okay, that's awesome because we could. It's like renting out an exec. You know what I'm saying? Get out there and do your project. The people that were not, they were like, oh, why do we have to pay up front? Why do we got to do this? You know, I guess those are the people also too that you don't want sitting down in the restaurant with you because they're not going to work. They're not thinking about paying the bill either. You know what I'm saying? When the food, but they'll order the steak and the wine and all that top end. You get me?
Right.
In the same sense, that's what we were doing, splitting that up. And that made a world of difference because you could see where people were serious and where people were here as a joke. I always tell them, you know, you could this when artists come to me, what do you want to do? Do you want to be an artist or do you want to be your own artist? Which means that you could go on CD Baby TuneCore, you know, Bandcamp, all those places, and you have no rules. You have nothing. It's by yourself. Whatever you do, you have the same precedence as my neighbor that has an 8-year-old kid and he puts up a song, and you guys have the same statue in the same cesspool.
Right.
But it's different if you have a team and you're working your records and you're getting them avenues and places where they should be, you know?
So with that being said, how much do you think staying independent has messed up the record business?
I don't think it's messed it up at all. I think it accelerated it. If you look at what people have done, like Master P, in every era, right? Whether it was the CD era, the cassette era, every era, right? The digital era, and God knows what we're going into next, right? And
Metaverse.
There was the metaverse. In every era, there's a situation where there's pioneers that take those environments that are popular at the time and run with it to a fullest capacity or to unknown grounds. That's what they've done. And so today, being independent is a great term. The next new term that people hang on to today is the word masters. So people's websites, people's distribution companies now lure other people by saying, hey, let me put a term inside there so you feel so reinvigorated that you feel like you're in control. You got the master. You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you a question. What good is it owning 100% of nothing? I'd rather get signed to a Def Jam, to another company, you know what I'm saying? A quality control somewhere and have 50% of something or 40% of something that's moving and bringing in money. So when people decide, like you said, stay independent, does that mean that they're not bound to be successful? Not always, but it takes a lot of effort to be those guys on the independent market that are not waiting to be babysit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, a lot of when you know, I asked the guy, I said, so if somebody wanted to give you a single deal for 250K, $250,000 for a single deal, right? I said, would you take it? He said, I'll take it if I can keep my masters. I said, well, then you won't have no deal.
You know,
If you think somebody's going to give you some money, that much money at least, and you think that you're going to control your own masters, that's not going to happen. Now, I didn't say that you wouldn't have a percentage of the masters. I said, but for you to control 100% of the masters, that won't happen, man. That won't happen.
because the fact is that you got to realize a company has to have some kind of liability to do something, a tangible something to invest into that. If people are
Right.
giving you that much money, you're already making noise, first of all. You know what I'm saying? And if you're making noise, you know, there's a lot of other ways besides that master to make money. You're making money on touring that you don't have to give them crap about. You know,
Right.
you're making money on social media being an influencer that you don't have to give them a piece about. You know, there's a lot of other aspects nowadays where there wasn't before. It was just really, you know, all it is the CD or the vinyl or that's it. You know, now
Right.
other avenues where, you know, people are scared. They're like they always said, you know, the other term was before the masters and before independent was the 360 deal, right? That term was floating around the industry. Everybody's there. If someone's offering me a 360 deal, that means I'm making money. I have something because no one is going to be stupid enough to take 100% that's crap of nothing and invest into something that's just nothing because you say.
But see, the thing about a 360 deal, right? It depends on how much the deal for, right? I tell artists, I say, man, that money is for you. The 360 deal might be your first deal, but if that deal works out for you, or you invest the money back into your product, which is your music, and like you might get 300K. So you mean to tell me that you can't invest it back into your music? You can't shoot a high end type video. You can't build your own tour, and you can't recoup everything that they gave you and negotiate another deal. And I think that you can. I think people can do that, but you just can't blow the money, man. You got to be smart about your money. And
Everybody.
you got to understand that you have to invest into your product.
That's
So they are willing on the next go round to invest into your product.
absolutely. I think, but the core of that is that you got to realize that everyone that came into the industry came from the streets, came from nothing. A lot of times you don't realize, you know, that it's that offer or you're back to where you are, you know? So your best bet is that sometimes to realize the concept of learning how to work your way out of
Right.
situations. So yeah, take the bad deal or whatever, and then work. See what it's all about. See if there's an exit clause. See how to be able to proceed from point A to Z. So you finalize, execute, and get out of that deal. You know,
Right.
it's really a matter of really how what you put in to get out of.
Right. Okay. So you've been in this music business. You did everything up under the sun, learned the business. So you now have your own label, correct?
Yeah, I've been having my own label for the last
Okay.
16 years, Affluent Records.
Okay. So tell me about your label.
Affluent started out first as, like I said, a service label where I wasn't waiting for where everybody was the strategy of let's wait for the next hottest artist and let's
Hmm.
have a bidding war here for them. You know, out here I got 5 girls to choose from, right? Outside, so you think I'm the only guy out here? And then you got the majors out there doing the same thing at one time, you know, because it was different at that time. They weren't looking at data structures. They were looking at brand awareness, right?
Right.
So for me, it was like,
So before you go into that, explain to these artists and to the audience how brand awareness plays a big factor in creating a global star.
Brand awareness is everything, because you got to realize it is very hard to accumulate all those data numbers, and it's very expensive. So in brand awareness, you could have like they have like shock reality today, like you go ham and do something stupid out there, and you'll be sensationalized over that stupidity, right? Or you could really just keep consistent with your product and feeding social media, so all these sites, all these outlets, and just keep working it and just keep running that. That's the brand awareness. It's going to start out from zero into where you want it to go. How much you invest time into it. That is what works nowadays to give you an understanding, because they might not see your numbers, but they see you everywhere. That makes a world of difference. If you're on the phones, if you're on online, if you're on the feeds, they're talking about you.
Right. So with that brand awareness, and it helps, excuse me, become a household name, and it helps people understand who you are on a nationwide basis and an overseas basis.
Absolutely.
And so with that brand awareness, how important is it for people to corner every market? When I say every market, the South, the North, the Midwest, and the West, along with overseas and connecting with like EDM DJs, house DJs, techno DJs, so you can do the remix. Cause when it comes to the house DJs, they really throw huge parties.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
they throw huge parties.
Look at those things are in Vegas, you know. Wow, we don't have those hip hop crowds. You know, we don't have that attendance in the hip hop world like that unless it's a huge act. You know, way different from the structures of back then, where there was more concerts and people were supporting the local artists a lot more heavily. Back then, if you went down south, there were shows where they would highlight like Mobb Deep, and then they have like 10 local acts, you know, and they get highlighted. And people, and you have a huge crowd, you know, so it would feel a lot different. Nowadays, there's none of that. So you really have to, it goes back to what I told you, like that brand awareness, I'm an actual product of demonstration of, because none of the artists on my label won a Grammy or things like that. You know, they weren't in a situation for that. They came to service their records or do something in regards to get to what they needed for the situations. You know what I'm saying? But that brand awareness made me be an individual that was known from New York, Cali, Florida, Midwest, you know what I'm saying, Italy, China, Japan, you know, Korea, Australia, the name Affluent. You know, I get messages from people, hey, I heard this record, thank you, or I bought this record, or I got this, you know. It's incredible where your length of is when you keep building on that brand. You know,
right.
It goes back to show me where people like Mona Scott, who created Mona Me, at the time when she was at Violator. Mona Me was first a production company doing deals and getting R&B artists, you know what I'm saying?
Mona Me.
All around there.
Mona Me. I ain't heard nobody say that in a long time.
So that's
Mona Me.
Into where it is. Look at that. You know, she was the first proof in the pudding. Hey, take your idea and fulfill it and keep going, because she had to work under the Violator umbrella, which was hard. You know what I mean?
Right. I can remember, man. I was on a vlog, and it's this guy that he was talking about 50, and he was showing some of the clips that 50 and who 50 said is a real heavy hitter and a force to be reckoned with. And he said none other than Mona Scott Young. Sure did. Yeah, he said, Mona, man, listen, man, that's a whole different level, man. So, and then, you know, when you look at the digital era now, and you look how people get paid so much money off music licensing, and you know, like I tell people all the time, people ask me, man, why you like Pusha T so much? I say, because you got to understand, 46% of his earnings for his whole career have came off music licensing.
Mm.
That's a huge number, man. That's almost 50%.
But realize that that also changed and became that big now because there was more outlets for it, and it became a standard. Music went from just being on a piece of vinyl or cassette and being personal to becoming part of a business and building
Right,
brand awareness. And they use that for you to get uh, to have some kind of relevance, some understanding, some kind of, you know what I'm saying, feeling, an energy that they want to have in a mutual sense with their product. Look at
right,
companies like Target, Amazon. Every time there's, you know, a certain type of product they're trying to sell or something they try to do, they get a certain type of theme of music inside there. Hip hop has been prevalent in a lot of these things because that's what actually has moved the culture. It is the culture. So that's why it strives for that. You know what I'm saying?
right. So, you know, since we talking about, you know, building and stuff like that, this is off the entertainment subject, but I did want to ask you, what do you think about um Elon Musk
And this purchase
buying
of
Twitter?
Twitter and it going private now.
Yes.
Incredible. I think it's well, the price was insane. First of all, let's be real. That's amazing. That
$43 billion.
I it's either that or 44, something like that. It's a lot of money. Um, I don't think it's a negative where people will be like, oh, one person shouldn't control it and all that, or a business shouldn't control it because it's a function. And if you're saying that, then you're saying anything else is altered as well. Everything, you know, based on a bias. But Twitter's like a number one media place. And when you got news, anything happens, regardless of its, let's just say, a Kardashian news or 50 Cent news, you go or real life issues, you're going to Twitter. You're going to see what's going
Yeah,
on. You know,
yeah,
forget about all the other ones that you're on, the Instagrams, the Facebooks. Everything shuts down. What happened? Let's go to Twitter. There's a tragedy in the world. Let's go. We're going to Twitter. It is a media ground. You know, it's a
right.
base of information, just like YouTube is a visual home of information, right?
Yeah.
The same thing. Twitter is that. So I think the only thing is that it'll excel, it'll grow into other aspects, but I don't see it as a negative whatsoever. You know,
Right. I definitely think it's a positive. Just want to see what you thought. That's all, man. Because you know, in the world of business, and we do media, and Twitter is a big part of the media right now. As far as you know, people always ask you, "What's your Twitter handle?" You know what I mean? Because people want to see what you got going on. They want to see what you post about. They want to see who you are. They want to see who you connected with, like all the above. So it's definitely a big part of it. So back to your label, man. What
so
type of artists do you look for, or what type of artist can catch your eye? Let me put it like that.
well, that's the thing. We transitioned from being a service label into being a select executive producer uh, label that I do now. In other words, I don't just people can't just come even though they have a project. Hey, you know, I need this to get service and all that. That's great, but you know, go to one of those other places, figure out the outlets. I'm more into now actually really executive producing selective artists that I screen through, like an A list or of that nature, where we build them up from A to Z completely, and then transition them over towards a different, bigger house.
So
That's
would you?
the
So
big
are you saying that
right now.
you take on an independent artist and build them up and transition them over? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'll take a concept and make them into an artist so they could be independent. You know what I'm saying? And they get
Okay.
and then go towards the step because adding just that label to them, you know, to an unknown, it's a lot. It's a lot for them to carry. You know, so That's the difference. Is you're taking every step with them, and you're working everything along until they get to their point of a point of success where they have a validity of revenue, a brand awareness, and they can make a difference in the game. You know,
Okay.
it's not easy,
Okay. Okay.
but it's a thing of investment, and it's investment of time and money and effort and execution. But it's well,
Okay.
it's much better. It gets my LA Reid out my Puff Daddy, my LA Reid out of my system every
Right.
day.
Right. So what type of artists do you take, and what type of genres of music would you accept?
I look for really energy, whether it's predominantly in the urban world of rap, trap, what do you call R&B, love, you know. Um, but my doors are open to Latin artists, to rock artists. It just got to have a sense of energy. That's how I built Affluent with. It wasn't just a situation where I just took one genre and just ran with it. I opened my doors up and gave people an opportunity to work their projects at a mainstream executive level all across the board, you know. And so in my world, I've put out gospel stuff, you know.
I was just about to ask you that, man. I was just about to ask you, would you be willing to work with a gospel artist?
Of course, I put out stuff before. There was an artist that a producer that I came across the board, and he had a brand name Faith Inspired, and so he had some songs, and he didn't realize the content that he had. I connected him with a radio interview, and through that radio interview, they heard his songs, and at that radio station, they ended up the station manager ended up hearing the song and adding it into format, which is pretty incredible because I took him on as a client, and within 45 days, that kind of happened. This is unheard of, you know, but hey, God works in mysterious ways, right? And for
Right, 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 right.
so that was his calling. Now, this gentleman didn't pursue the aspect of, you know, being an artist or doing pushing his label in that direction because he was more of a great musician, you know. And it was me that saw that difference of that musician to say, this is really good enough to be a song to be on the radio. And
Right.
what I said did happen. So yes, we've worked with that. I've worked with Latin artists. I've worked with all kinds of different artists and be able to function at the best functions for them. You know, not trying to change them for do the rap into this or do that. No, what their lane was, that's what we're going to excel at.
Right, 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 right. Okay, okay, okay. So as far as your label now, and as far as the projects that you're putting out, are any of your artists getting ready to go on tour? Because it's spring going into summer, and you know there's a lot of tours and festivals and everything like that that's going to be opening up.
That's what we're looking forward to and hoping with, because yes, that's the ideal, but a lot of these places don't function fully all the time. In New York City, things are just opening up. In other
Right,
states, things have been opened up because they opened up like 5 seconds after the second COVID shot. You know, they didn't, or after the first COVID shot. Look at Miami; that's never stopped, right? Since that's it, they've been partying all along. You know, so things are opening up in certain ways and certain structures change. But absolutely, at this point for A-list, he's at a point
uh,
where he needs to go out there, and that's why he's entertaining all these, you know, showcases and doing part of that to just get out there and do. No different than in the same steps in what Jay-Z did or Damon did with Jay-Z. Put him out in the Palladium, put him out to play here, go there, go everywhere. And that's
right.
what we're hoping to do with the right places, the right spots as we go along, you know?
Okay, okay. That sounds good to me. That sounds good to me, man. So man, I just want to say, man, very impressive on what you've accomplished, and it's very impressive that the type of artists that you're still connected with, that you're still working with, and even the newer artists that you're working with. You know, I know that they have to have a lot of value and have to have something that has orchestrated, you know, a body of work that people realize that they're hot. And then when you put your when you put your sauce on it, it's just like a whole different level. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
That's
Because you already been on that plateau and you know what it takes to really get out there and make it.
that's exactly the chemistry and the energy I feel with A-List. I mean, what we've accomplished in the last 2 years has been amazing, and it's just exciting to keep working with him and see him grow and progress and be like that wow factor every time. He's such an amazing. He's like an amazing athlete in music, you know, because you start. It's like seeing your LeBron James grow and become, you know, no different than Puff Scene, Puff Scene Biggie, or that. That's how I feel in today's world. That's what
Mm.
happened to A-List, you know, in his own light, in his own pop world, in his own R&B aspect, you know.
Wow, wow. That's really dope. That's really dope. So man, uh time is winding down. So what is next for you? Like what can we be on the lookout for?
Really being out here more, being out here and speaking with gentlemen like you, getting out in the podcast, getting out and connecting with people and bringing them in and showing them what they haven't still seen in the music industry, what they haven't seen, you know, whether it's the artist development, these artists coming in, you know, hopefully we'll be getting a show or something where we could show, you know, studio life, what happens, because it's not
Right,
a fantasy. You get me? There's a lot that takes to create certain content. And
right.
not just one day you come inside here and just start blowing out songs. So looking to try to coordinate that, you know, maybe behind the scenes of a New York City label, Affluent Records, you know, making music from A to Z, and then we'll see what happens, you know, out there in the network.
Right.
It's an aspect of really bringing people into our world and showing them who we are, and then grow, and that's how we'll connect with people and bring in other artists and, you know what I'm saying, functions and the new technologies that we have coming up.
Okay, okay, great, great. So if people have interest and want to really get with you, you know, on the business level, how are they get in contact with you?
Really easy. They could hit me up at Oscar Sanchez at affluentrecords.com, or they could hit me up on what do you call on Affluent NYC at IG, or Affluent NYC at Facebook, or Affluent NYC at Twitter. Either way, but mostly I'm always on Twitter, and I mean I'm always on Instagram, or you can reach me directly to the email. And it's all about, you know, leaving your name, your number, the links, the business that you're trying to get across, and
Uh-huh.
sincerity, you know, and
Right.
whatever we're trying to work with and trying to see, you know.
I can dig it. I can dig it, man. So I just want to thank you for coming on the Chatterbox with King Jacob and really kicking it with me and dropping those jewels, man. I really, really, really appreciate it. And then, man, if you have some artists or some other people that you're working with that you may want me to bring on the show and chop it up with them, just let me know, man. Just let me know.
Yes, look, definitely
I don't
gonna
have a
bring
problem.
this to you. You know what I'm saying? I want you to meet him. You'll love him. You know, he got great
Okay.
songs out right now and a great story. Guy from Kentucky and now in New York City, and, you know, making his way. So, you know, a star is born, and it's a
All right. So let's set it up. Anytime you're ready, I'm ready. So until the next time, man, stay blessed, stay safe,
thank
and
you.
just keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, everybody. God bless. One love.
God bless. Peace.